It matters what stories tell stories. It matters what thoughts think thoughts. It matters what worlds world worlds. It matters what relations relate relations.
If I need the earth, does the earth need me?
We're really at a point where things are changing almost so rapidly that I'm not sure we can predict what's going to happen. That's kind of something that keeps me up at night.
Because I'm not saying what the media wants me to say. We're fighting.
Yeah, you're definitely saying what the media wants you to say because it drives headlines and clickbait because of how outrageous it is.
Church is supposed to direct the government. The government is not supposed to direct the church. That is not how our founding fathers intended it.
A statistic circulating around right now that 90% of South Dakota's LGBTQ community is diagnosed with either anxiety or depression. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. That makes me sad, and we should figure it out.
Issuing that landmark ruling that this nation has been bracing for, and the Supreme Court has overturned Roe v. Wade, that they have eliminated the constitutional right to an abortion.
The new policy gives police and other first responders the authority to forcibly hospitalize anyone living on the streets who, because of their mental illness, are believed to be a danger to themselves.
Data brokers operate in a sprawling, unregulated ecosystem which can get very creepy very fast. They're the middlemen of surveillance capitalism.
40 years ago, Congress passed a law to stop the systemic removal of Native children from their families and tribes, the Indian Child Welfare Act. In the last decade, it's been challenged more times than the Affordable Care Act.
What does it mean when the future for Indigenous peoples looks mostly like hospital waiting rooms and illness? What happens when sick becomes the condition of the near future, and staying attached to life also means staying attached to pain?
Negotiators have reached a draft deal on a climate compensation fund at the UN's COP27 summit in Egypt.
I would say that colonialism takes a biological and a dietary form, speeding up the body's decomposition and leaving our organs too damaged to sustain life. My body doesn't belong to me anymore, but I expect it didn't from the start.
The effects of climate change are all too apparent in Somalia, where a humanitarian catastrophe is unfolding. The worst drought in 40 years has left millions on the brink of starvation.
High food prices due to the war in Ukraine, decades-long civil war, and climate change have created an unprecedented humanitarian disaster.
Legacies of imperialism and, over extraction and industrial forms of development, in Bangladesh, for example, really the epicenter of sweatshops and the garment industry. When places are no longer livable, people are forced to migrate, people are displaced. So it is so important to understand that migration really is the human face of climate disaster.
11 million undocumented workers really hold our economy. Laws are drafted in a way that corporations are not held accountable, but we punish the people that are doing the work that we don't want to do.
Apple Store employees made history.
Thousands of Amazon workers in New York have voted to unionize.
Starbucks workers fight to unionize, gaining traction across the country.
Yet as union efforts take hold, these big companies are fighting back hard.
You have to start over. People have to go into their public squares, meet each other, start talking to each other, and start brainstorming of ideas. I mean, essentially the idea is the system is not going to save us. We're going to have to save ourselves.
The really important kind of freedom involves attention and awareness and discipline and being able truly to care about other people and to sacrifice for them over and over. The alternative is unconsciousness, the default settings, the rat race, the constant gnawing sense of having had and lost some infinite thing.
Our gods are living, touching elemental forms that are the land, that are the mist, the rains. Kahopoakani, Waihuakani, Kapiku Kapu o Waiyau. Then you have the lily noise, the le'ohus and all the mist forms, and the kilihunes, the kilinahis that really are prevalent and embrace this land.
They tell you we are dreamers. They tell you we are dreamers. The true dreamers are those who think things can go on indefinitely the way they are. Things can go on indefinitely the way they are. We are not dreamers. We are not dreamers.
Welcome to Unlivable Cultures, a podcast making with and borrowing from anthropology, social theory, and other forms of knowledge for a more livable world.